Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a little tech and first analysis of Mafia 3. No story gameplay today, but there has been a lot of controversial about the game's performance at launch, and we are playing the launch version right off Steam as it got released just, well, about 17 hours ago. We are playing on 4K. The game runs 6 moves on 1080p, but there have been complaints about the 4K performance and some other stuff. And I want to give you a feedback and a look into it. As you can see, I have all the details on high. I increased the field of view a little bit to 80 degree, and I'm running at 4K native resolution. If you didn't check the details of the video, I'm running a i7 3770K on 4.2 gigahertz overclocked. I'm running a Asus Strix OC 1080 GTX graphic card that is also overclocked, but not by me, but factory overclocked. And as you can see, for the moment we are running a solid 30 frames per second, but not for long. We have drops that occur every now and then, and they can go from 29 or sometimes as low as to 25 frames per second, but that is really rare. The normal performance is pretty solid. The game runs at 30 or 29 frames, but I see it hanging around at 28 a lot as well, which is interesting. I have games like Witcher running with more details around, and around 38 frames per second if I uncap it, but that also means there is no chance that this will run in 60 frames per second at any time pretty soon. I have a small list of stuff that I want to walk you through. Basically the main concerns that people have and have been mentioning on the Steam store page so far. So the biggest complaint is obviously it is capped to 30 frames per second. No matter what you do, no matter what hardware you have, you can turn up the details high or low or whatever you want. You will end up with 30 frames per second, and that needs quite a lot of getting used to if you are used to 60 frames per second playing a game on your PC. But Hunger 13 has said there is a patch in the making. They are already testing it, and they want to get him out as soon as this weekend, and you will have the option to play at 60 frames per second or at a totally uncapped frame rate, which is very helpful if you want to do performance testing. People also have been complaining about low texture quality, and this is something I cannot really understand or say that I do mind that myself. I have to say I play on a 1080p display, so even if I'm in 4K, I cannot totally see what it would look like in 4K. But when I get myself a close-up on, let's say, vegetation, let's do that. It is no Witcher, but it surely doesn't look bad, I think. So, yes, it is no Witcher, it is no GTA 5, but you have to keep in mind the budget was probably a lot smaller than in those games mentioned. Graphics are not up to date is another thing, but seriously, why? Do you think this looks totally old or really bad? Because I don't think it does. I will just get back in the car and drive a little bit more, because that brings us to the next thing. People were complaining about bugs with shadows. I can also not say I do have those problems, because shadows work fine. I had a bug where the world went a little bit darker. It basically was looking like a cloud was put in front of the sun. That happens. I'm not sure it is intended so, though that might have been one of those bugs. Happened in one of the first missions and disappeared afterwards. As you can see, shadows work fine. So sadly, nothing I can replicate. People have also been complaining about pop-ups, and that happens, which is true, but it really happens outside of my vision range or where I notice it. There is pop-in of vegetation if you look further into the distance, but yeah, there. Okay, let's go backwards. Look at the bush right in front of the car. Oop, come on. That did just visually pop in, and there it is. The shadows are missing already, and there the whole bush is missing. So if we go forward again, fighting the camera, there it goes. Light is back and shadow is back. Yes, so there is pop in, but seriously, that's complaining on a really high level. So, next point. Text scaling. That is totally true. If you would play in Full HD and not in 4K, the resolution for the interface would be double the size. You would have a bigger speedo, the bottom left health indicator and the minimap and the objective on the top left, which isn't there right now, they would be double the size and way better readable. So yes, that is something I hope they will fix within that mentioned patch as well, because that is not annoying, but you have to take a sharp look at the text if you want to read it. So yes, that's the other thing. The last thing, which I cannot go totally into, is the controls, because I play with the gamepad like they probably intended to, but I noticed that you cannot bind certain keys. For example, button 4 and 5 on your mouse, you can not just bind to some function. They're just unusable if you don't set a key in your mouse program and then just use it like that, but that is kinda meh. And as you can see here, by the way, we are down to 27, 25, sometimes even lower frames again. So yes, one thing to notice as well about the story, I'm not that far into that yet, but it looks like they really made the transition from linear gameplay on Mafia 2 to open world pretty good, so I'm enjoying the game so far. Well, that should be it for the moment. First impressions of a tech and game so far. Please leave a comment. Wow, whoa, 20 frames. Now that is close to unplayable, or actually is unplayable when you're used to way more. This must be the Twilight. Yes, leave a comment. Tell me what you experienced so far about the game. Tell me if you bought it or if you consider buying it. Also check back later, because I will do a follow-up video on the game when the patch will be released, which is hopefully on the weekend like that was promised to us. So I say thank you for watching, have a nice day, see you on the next video, bye bye.